So today, wanting
have taken Jonathan and I to the Bacardi factory here in San Juan because he is a Bacardi, and so we are getting a private tour. And right now they're taking us to the Bacardi Museum, and this is the family museum, and it's no longer open to the public. It's only open to family and VIPs, and we're about to get a private tour and a tasting, and hopefully, if we can finagle it, I want to try and get a small, they have these small Bacardi barrels that you fill with rum and have aged rum. So I'm going to try and get one of those for the boat. I'm really excited. This is the Bacardi family tree.
She's still not married to his father.
And
well, we're there. The Argamacillas are there, so we're there. Close to there. Emilio Bacardi Rosé. This is her father, Josefina. Then
here's my
his
mom.
children. Mireya is over there.
My mom is right there in the middle. Here.
See, look over
You see
here.
these three?
Go up this little branch.
In the middle.
Yeah.
She's in the middle.
Here it is, right here.
Yeah.
this is your grandfather's?
Yes.
That's it.
It's another widow.
This
Father right there.
And
is their grandfather's
bigger
barrel.
His favorite one was Añejo, but I don't even think they have put it.
All right, we're going to the Cathedral of Rum.
Bueno, no sé. ¿Cómo estás? Saludos.
Oh, wow, it's pretty. Hi. Oh, it smells amazing. What is it?
Remember, they put this from real cane.
Yeah.
So, for starters, I'm pretty sure you all got that smell that's in the air, of course. So the smell is coming from our main ingredient. We use sugarcane molasses to make our rum. Okay? And right beside the building here, in this huge tanks, there's a lot of that molasses. They're starting to get ready to turn into liquor, and that's where you get some of that smell. Okay? There's also this little guy over here, a scale replica of the postel that our founder Facundo used when he started. His was a lot bigger than this one, of course. When he started out though, he used to make about 1,700 gallons of rum every single day, okay? Which was massive for the time. Again, nowadays we make about 100,000 liters every 24 hours. Okay?
Wow.
Now, I will go into the rum making process a little bit later during the tour, so leaving that behind for now. I'm sure you've noticed that we use a bat as a symbol, and there is a story. There's a whole significance to it. And it came in 1862 when our founder Facundo and his wife Amalia are buying the first distillery. When they go into their distillery, it was an abandoned building previously, they go in and they notice there's this colony of fruit bats that had made home in the rafters of the building, similar to these fake ones kind of going on over here. So they have an idea. But they see the bats, and the founder's wife, Amalia, goes over to Facundo and she says to him, Facundo, look at all these bats. That's a good sign. And she says that they're a good sign because back in Spain, where the founder was from, bats symbolize good health, fortune, and family unity. Okay? So there's these symbols of good luck, and Facundo hears Amalia say this, and he says, Amalia, you're right. They are a great symbol. I'm going to follow your idea. I'm going to take these bats, we're going to turn them into the logo for our company. So it was Amalia who came up with the idea of the bats. And in the end, they were already looking for a logo, and it's because back in the 1860s, most people didn't really know how to read. They needed something visual. They needed a way for everyone to recognize that that was their brand without reading a word. They choose the bats, and everyone used to call it the rum of the bats when they started out, and that's how it started getting its recognition. Okay? So that's how the bats became our really good friends over there. A few more steps to the side over here, and I'm going to be passing this around in case you want to smell it. You can stir it if you want to smell it.
It's very
Now,
sticky.
what we're passing
Molasses.
around over here is sugarcane molasses. That is our main ingredient.
Okay. Here, pass it.
Sugarcane molasses is a byproduct of sugarcane, of course. We go for the molasses specifically because it's the super concentrated sugar syrup. And the more sugar you have in your main ingredient, the more alcohol you're able to get from it later. Okay? Nowadays, we import all of the molasses. We go through about 500,000 gallons per day of this stuff.
Per day.
Per day?
Per day. So we have to import weekly and bi-weekly from all over the world just to be able to keep up our production.
Is that just here in this factory?
Just here in this factory, yes. We do have a smaller factory over in Mexico, so it won't be as big a number as it is here, but it's still a very constant output of sugarcane. Very good. Now we also have this nice little bar over here with these rums, these drinks. We're not drinking yet, but we're getting very close, of course. But since we're doing the tasting pretty soon, and we're going to talk about the rums and smell them and taste them over there, I just want to tell you the story of the 3 classic Bacardi cocktails here. So we have Cuba Libre, Daiquiri, and Mojito. And I like starting off with the Cuba Libre because it's the easiest one. You know, it's Bacardi Gold, a couple lime wedges, and Coke, of course. Cuba Libre translates to free Cuba from Spanish. And it came at the end of the Spanish-American War. The Cubans and the Americans are out celebrating, and there's this American officer. He has a bottle of Coca-Cola with him, which was his brand new product at the time. And he goes over to the bartender. He asks him to make a drink with it, and he says yes. So he starts improvising. He didn't know what Coke was, so he just grabbed a bottle of Bacardi Gold that he had on the side, mixed it together. Still a bit too sweet for his taste. And that's where the limes came in. He squeezed a few in to kind of balance out the sweetness from it. Gives it back to the officer. Officer takes it and raises it up, and he decides that he wants to make a toast. So he just shouts out, "Long life for a free Cuba," which in Spanish is "Larga vida por un Cuba libre." And they end up associating the Cuba Libre part from the toast with the drink that he had in hand, and that's how it picked up its name.
Oh,
That's how it became the Cuba Libre. So that's one. Second one here is the original
Can I
daiquiri.
sip that first? I want to make sure that's the real
I mean, I won't stop you, but I don't want to see you disappointed. Now, with the second one, we have the original daiquiri. Nowadays, I know that frozen daiquiris are more the norm, but those came in the 20s with the invention of the blender. This came out in 1898. There were no blenders, no way to make frozen drinks. Lime juice, sugar, and Bacardi rum was the way. Now, daiquiri was invented by another American guy. He was an engineer working in Cuba at some copper mines called the daiquiri mines. And after work, he always had a little bottle of Bacardi with him because he liked having a drink after work, and there were lime trees nearby, and he would just squeeze that in with his rum. Thing is, he did this almost every day. And his coworkers and friends start noticing that he's doing this, and they start asking him about the drink. And he says, "Guys, I don't have enough rum for all of us. Let's go to the bar. I'm gonna get the bartender to prepare a couple more of these guys so you can try them out." So they go, they give the bartenders the recipe, and they all like the drink, so it becomes a thing that they do regularly after work. Just hit the bar, have a few more of the drinks. They don't have a name for the drink though, and they're always giving the recipe to the bartender. Bartender just gets a bit frustrated because he wants to speed up the process of this drink, and he starts asking them where they're from. They say they work at the daiquiri mines. So the bartender says, "Guys, whenever you want the same drink again, just ask me for a daiquiri then. Stop giving me the recipe. I know what you're gonna ask me for already. Ask me for a daiquiri, I'll get you your drink." See?
Oh,
And that's how daiquiri picked up its name. You see? A little bit of frustration in the whole thing, but it worked out. You know? Lime juice, sugar, Bacardi rum. Now, last but not least, we have the Mojito. And Mojito is the oldest Bacardi cocktail that exists. They're 156 years old right now. Okay? Now, way before that, there was something similar that existed already, but it was done by pirates. They called it Drake, in honor of Sir Francis Drake, the pirate. They would mix it with limes, because that would give them vitamin C for the scurvy, and mint, because that protected their mouth from gum disease. So it was a sort of medicinal, in a way, sort of concoction. But the rum that they used, there was no commercial rum at the time. It was a pirate moonshine called Kill Devil, which ran at 160 proof, or 80% alcohol by volume. You know, it was this rough stuff that pirates and sailors had because they had no choice. You know? But time passes, and 1862 comes up. Bacardi starts the company with the clear rum, which was a lot easier to drink, much smoother, and they start making that same mixture and realize that they don't want to associate it with the pirate stuff. It's a much smoother product. So they renamed the drink Mojito, coming from the African word mojo, meaning magic or magical potion. So in the end, Mojito is just a tiny magic potion. Right. And that's why you feel magical after you have a couple of these.
Yeah.
Into you. But same base as a daiquiri. Lime juice, sugar, Bacardi. The difference would be mint and club soda that's used to top them off. Okay?
All right. This is the second floor of the Bacardi Rum Factory.
He did.
These would be our fermentation tanks. We have 20 of these. They're all holding molasses, starting to turn all of its sugars into alcohol. They're all 3 stories tall, and they hold 50,000 gallons each, approximately. Okay, so they are enormous.
So in here, you can see all of the tanks.
First, I do want to talk to you about the rum making. And I will use the diagram here on the wall for that. I will apologize in advance that some of these aren't turning on for me today, but I will keep this as simple as I can to understand regardless. Okay? So rum making 101. First, here in blue, we have the fermentation. Now, in the blue tanks over there, there's just 3 ingredients going in, and that's water, molasses, and yeast. Okay, that's it. That's all you need to make rum. Yeast is what's going to make up all the sugar inside the molasses to turn it into alcohol. Our yeast will do it pretty fast, and it usually just takes 1 day, 24 hours, 36 hours to get the fermentation done. So 1 day in, there's already alcohol in the mixture that we want to take out. So to do that, we use the stainless steel columns that we pass on the trolley ride over. The big, tall stainless steel columns would be our distillation columns. We're going to put all of this mash in here, heat it up, and then the heat's just going to take the alcohol from the mixture and evaporate it so that it separates from everything else. So while the alcohol vapor rises up, everything stays behind, and once the vapor reaches these little guys, these are condensers. They're going to cool down the temperature of the steam to change it from steam to liquid. So by the time it's out of here, it's already liquid alcohol or rum in other words. No? Thing is, we have to make 2 different rums here because those are going to become our bases that we're going to mix at the end for the consistency of the product. So rum number 1, we ferment, we distill, we get the rum. That one's called fire water, tons of flavor and aroma. 160 proof, 80% alcohol. That's going to end up going to a storage tank that we're going to have waiting for it on the side. Second rum, ferment, distill, get the rum, and then distill that again, and again, and again.
So 3 times? Or 4
Actually,
times?
5 times, even though you only see 4 here. But by redistilling the rum, we purify it even more. It loses aroma, it loses flavor. That one's going to hit around 190 proof, or 95% alcohol by volume. Wow. Then we're going to another storage tank that we're going to have on the side over here. So we have that fire water and that redistilled waiting, but being kept apart. Okay. So far, so good till there? All right. Then from here, the 2 rums will go into the barrels for the aging. Our barrels are just like the one you have here or right behind you. They're all American white oak barrels that we buy pre-used from whiskey makers in the United States. Okay? When the barrels get here, we wash them with hot water and steam for 24 hours to make sure that there's no traces of whiskey left. Then we scrape them on the inside and char them on the inside to get them ready. Fill them up with rum, and the rum will stay there for at least a year. That's our minimum. Our maximum aging time would be 23 years. But it's all going to depend on the rum that we're planning on making at the end. Okay? Now, the longer it's in there, the smoother it's going to become, but it's also going to pick up flavor, color, aroma from the barrels. The thing is, though, as time goes, they're all waiting in these warehouses that we have on premises, but those warehouses don't use climate control. And there's a bright side and a maybe not so bright side to this. And the bright side is that Puerto Rico is warm all year round. There's no cold weather here. So it's actually helping the rum age faster than it typically would in a colder climate. The flip side is that even though it's always warm, climate's not consistent. You know, there's changes in weather, temperature, humidity, and that's all gonna make a difference as to how the rums age, and in the end, they won't taste the same. So, to make sure that when you buy your bottle of Bacardi from wherever you buy it, it always does taste the same, we have a master blender come in, and his name is Jose Gomez. He goes over to the warehouses, and he's tasting fire waters, redistills from different years, aromas, batches to see how they've aged and what they're missing. And then he's going to handpick from everything to blend at the end so that when he does this mixture, everything will balance out and the flavors are consistent.
Here we are coming into the Bacardi rum tasting room.
Okay, so we all do have some experience. Again, if you've only done wine or beer tasting stuff, it's the same thing. You know, you're just smelling and tasting everything. The big difference is that rum is 40% alcohol. No, it is hard liquor. It shouldn't make things difficult, but it is something that I always want people to keep in mind. Okay? Now, it's 5 rums that we're going to be going for today. You have them in front of you on your flights. So to tell you what's what, on your top left, you have Special Reserve, Bacardi Superior, which is our 1-year age rum. Bottom left is Special Reserve, 10 to 12 years of age. Bottom right, Bacardi 8 años, 8 to 10 years. Top right is Limited Reserve, 12 to 16 years of aging, and the oldest one you're going to be tasting today. And the one in the center is called Bacardi Legacy. That one's a blend of 3 to 16 years, and the one with the widest range of years in between. Okay? So those are going to be the 5. We're going to do them in the order that you see here up front, so that you see how they start, and then how different things are changing as the rum ages. Okay? Now with the Superior, it is our least aged of the Bacardi rums. Okay? So it's definitely not meant to be the most flavorful, the more aromatic, but this is going to be the base one. This is where you're going to be comparing everything else to, okay? You have it on your top left. So for now, just put a little lid off and smell it. Give me your first impression. Should be a pretty
Floral alcohol.
floral. So there are notes of orange blossom. I'm actually pretty impressed that you picked up on that. It's not something that people usually pick up on. But there are floral notes. Very good. Usually, what I usually get from a lot of people is that it kind of smells like alcohol. You know, rum, like you mentioned earlier. Now it's going to be the one that smells the most of alcohol because it's the least aged of the rums. And smoothness is a quality that you're going to be getting through aging time.
So it's kind of harsh.
Yes, it will have the harshness, that astringency. Now, keep smelling it, and it'll still smell a lot like alcohol, but you might be able to bypass some of that, and it can smell slightly sweet. Okay? So if you pick up on sweetness in any form, there you go, that will come from the molasses being the main ingredient. The molasses is so sweet that it'll pass some of the sweetness ahead. It can also smell a little bit like vanilla extract.
Yeah.
You get that a little bit?
Yeah.
Not too much over here. In any case, vanilla in any of the rums comes from the barrels of white oak. It brings vanilla notes to whatever you age in it. Okay? Now, apart from that, there's not going to be anything that's too obvious here just because of the aging time. So for the tasting bit, the way I would like you to taste it would be to do a pretty decent sip. Okay? Don't do too little. If you do too little, it's going to feel like it's burning. So a decent sip, hold it for about a second or two, and after it goes down, breathe out.
Now I see why we have to breathe out. You feel like the flavors.
Yeah, you feel the flavor kind of going. Now, most people's reaction when they kind of feel the harshness at first is to like gas, and when you do that, you're really bringing more air in, which will make it feel like it's burning more. But it might not have been as sharp as it smelled. It should have had much more a sharper smell than it should have felt.
Kind of butterscotchy.
There are notes of butterscotch. You're surprising me.
That's
what it is. Yes, usually.
I wasn't going to tell him.
Usually people will pick up more our chefs.
Usually the Bacardi will
because
bring it
nobody
down.
knows.
Of course, that's usually the
Okay, we are being so spoiled. Not only do we just have an amazing rum tasting, but they've brought us in to the Bacardi Mixology Lab. Holy crap, this is awesome. And this wonderful gentleman here has just secured me my own Bacardi rum barrel for the boat. Oh, I'm so excited. This is the original Bacardi factory in Cuba. We're all drunk, which is why everybody's yelling over each other. I'm very sorry. So these are all different types of rum, and they're in barrels here. And you open the lids and smell them, so you can smell all the different types of rum. How does it smell? Good. Yeah? Do you tell the difference? Okay, so everybody on YouTube, this is our label, our personalized label for our, where is it? Our Gypsy Wind bottle. and you'll get to see it full in a second. We're filling our own bottle here at Bacardi, and don't take it off. And they're being so wonderful to us, and we're going to actually hopefully have them on our boat when we go through the Panama Canal in a few months. So keep tuned. Okay, no. Okay. Okay.
Now you're gonna place the bottle inside the spout.
Do I hold it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And now you're gonna raise the lever all the way up.
You might be more experienced with this than I am.
And now you're gonna say hi to the camera.
Oh man.
Lower the lever all the way in. Now hold the bottle with both hands.
Okay. Oh man, that's amazing. It's just the perfect amount.
Then take out one every drop.
Okay. Now, which one am I filling right now? Again, this is
Bacardi
the Legacy, which is a range of 3 to 14 years?
16.
3 to 16-year-old rum. How much longer do I hold this here? Am I good?
Now you're gonna take it out. Go ahead and put the cork on it.
And it gets the color from the barrels. So it's a very nice amber color. Tastes very butterscotchy. You can only get this rum here at the Bacardi Rum Factory. So you need to come into Puerto Rico. So if you're here, come here to this factory. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna be like a professional on this one. Okay, so 1, 2, and twist. Okay.
Now you're gonna stamp it on top. Hold it down for 6 seconds.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Then you're gonna
5,
take it out, do it
6.
really slow.
Really slow.
You have the
Oh yes. The Bacardi bat. This is beautiful.
For the final process, if you want, you can put the label. What you're gonna do, you're just gonna put it in the middle, and you're gonna pull the corners. Right there. Perfect.
So I make my own wine. So I've done the label thing a few
So
times.
you know how to do it.
Although I swear, after you're bottling for a while, you drink too much, and then they're all crooked. Here we are, our very own Bacardi Legacy. Yes, with the Gypsy Wind on it. How unique, right? And anybody can come, do the tour, and you can pay to have a bottle made and engraved for $160. And talk about a special little gift to take home and give to your family or your father, or just keep for yourself. But you can have it engraved with whatever you want. So it's really special. So once again, thank you guys here at Bacardi. This is really cool. Thanks. If you enjoyed watching this video and want to experience an adventure of your own, go to gypsywindcharters.com and book your next adventure with us in Alaska.